All right, welcome to Lucky to Be Here, episode number two. All right, the title of this episode is going to be titled Career Opportunities in a Globalized World. Yeah, this should be a pretty good conversation. Just kind of discussed, you know, um, overall, big picture, around the globe, different opportunities in Europe and Asia and the Middle East, different things like that, and how that kind of can play into your advantage in regards to career opportunities. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and dive into it. All right. In our increasingly interconnected world, the landscape of career opportunities has transformed dramatically. Whether it's whether you're a recent graduate or looking to pivot in your career, understanding this global market can open up amazing pathways for success. Let's explore how you can leverage your skills, especially as an English speaker, to thrive internationally. In my humble opinion, I think I talked about this in the previous episode, just the fact that 69% of the world's GDP is in America, and there's just so many opportunities throughout the states, either opportunities in the states, interconnected, opportunities from abroad to the US because of the markets here. You're probably the number one skill you can have is English. If you can speak English, there's just so many different opportunities and so many different, whether it be tech or legal or, any type of field you can think of. So, you know, um, you know, English in general, right, allows you to work anywhere in the world, and earn US dollars. And, I can't, stress how important that is. For example, I think the average salary, let's just say in Colombia, I believe it's like maybe 400 or 500 bucks a month or something along those lines. So imagine if you're earning in US dollars and you're able to live in, Central or Latin America, or you're able to live in Asia, working remotely, things like that, just what kind of the quality of life you can live if your rent is what, 750 bucks to 1,000 bucks. All your utilities, maybe another couple $100. Food is a few $100. You can easily see how on a, $1,500 budget, $2,000 budget, you can literally live a five-star lifestyle pretty much anywhere in the world. So just something to keep in mind. Remote IT work, knowledge commerce, contract online work like Fiverr, owning your own business, more and more today, I would say that more commercial companies are allowing online work. I think a lot of the some companies do require you to be in the United States as opposed to international, but I think it's growing in popularity, in order to attract top talent, to allow people to work remote from pretty much anywhere in the world, as long as you're willing to work those scheduled hours essentially of the organization. And definitely for those of you who do have a bachelor's, master's, or an advanced degree, a doctorate degree, online teaching is definitely there's a great opportunity there. So many institutions are going towards online education because the some of the cost savings, right? You don't need the real estate. Everything is done in like Canvas or different, or Blackboard, or different online forums where you basically log into a portal. You can have 20 or 30 students. You can actually teach online and earn an income pretty much from anywhere in the world. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And then the big one, obviously we're here on YouTube, right? I think people are finally starting to understand, I think after the election, right? People are really starting to understand the power of YouTube. I mean, think about it. You can start your own YouTube channel essentially for free, or essentially for, what, the 20, 30 bucks a month that it costs for the subscription to have a platform on YouTube. You can put out your own content, the knowledge commerce content, build a brand. You can do marketing. You can get monetized on YouTube. You can receive cash apps on YouTube. And essentially, you can do this from anywhere in the world. And then, not to mention, YouTube is considered, I think they 1099 you. I think YouTube is considered a small business. So let's just say, for example, if I'm getting ready to travel overseas, which I'm getting ready to go to Rio, Brazil for New Year's, and I'm going to film content for my YouTube channel, that's all tax deductible for my LLC. So, I can write off that flight. I can write off that hotel room. I can write off my camera equipment, different things like that. So, we'll get into that topic a little bit later, but the power of YouTube and online social media right now is going to, even if you do have let's say you have a plumbing business or you're an electrician, just one, you can film yourself recording the content of, teaching the lessons of those trades. But two, you have the global audience that you can pitch your idea to, your services to, things like that. So it's just a huge opportunity. And I think people are starting to really capitalize on that. All right. All right. Section number two. All right. Here you go. The impact of globalization. Let's start by discussing how globalization has expanded career prospect. With advancements in technology and communications, businesses are no longer confined by borders. Companies are now seeking talent from all around the globe, which means that your expertise can be in demand anywhere. Take the tech industry, for example. Jobs in software development, data analytics, and cybersecurity have boomed, creating vast opportunities for skilled professionals. What's fascinating is that many companies are offering competitive salaries and benefits, not just locally, but on a global scale. As an English speaker, you'll find that your language skills can open doors to markets where English is the primary business language. And just let's just think about that for a minute, right? I think when I just published my book, Lucky to Be Here, if I'm correct, and I don't know it's 100%, but I believe the entire help desk staff was probably based in the Philippines, right? So you have, Balboa Publishing, and don't quote me on this, but I do believe this to be true. Obviously they're a US based company. I can't remember where it's out of. Was it Bloomberg or Bloomingdale in Indiana or somewhere along those lines? And they have a call center based out of Philippines. So you see how there's international opportunities just by being in the Philippines, where you can work for a U.S. company if you speak good English, and you can make U.S. dollars, and then you can essentially live in the Philippines. So there's just so much global opportunity out there. I mean, I've definitely seen like on Upwork or Fiverr, there's definitely lots of you know um, video editing talent or audio editing talent, people that can create good thumbnails or IT support, from around the globe. I think I worked when I was in business executive coaching. I think one of the I think the gentlewoman who worked for, I think it was um, a it was like a water flavoring company, and they had like technical personnel that were like in Colombia that worked remote for like subcontract through an organization through Colombia, to their organization here in the US. And I just thought it was fascinating. And this person was like a five-star talent, but they were able to pay, essentially a good wage for living in Colombia, and it was just an excellent match. Um, you know, and just like I said, as we spoke before, just the impact on, how the US dollar can, working overseas with the US dollar can impact your life. I mean, of course, living in the United States is amazing, but there are scenarios where if you can, for example, make $2,000 a month remote online, you essentially are putting yourself in the top 5% of income earners pretty much everywhere else in the world. And what kind of, you can live in a high-rise apartment, eat out pretty much every night, really enjoy nightlife for, a fraction of the cost of what it would in the US. The US is definitely amazing. Probably the US is still probably, number one overall, but there's just, life's about choices and trade-offs. There are definitely benefits to living overseas. You know, for example, there's companies in UAE, United Arab Emirates. There's IT companies. There's satellite communications companies. I think there's a Microsoft headquarters office there. There's probably a Cisco headquarters office there. Can you either work in Dubai or can you work remote for a company in Dubai if you have the right trade and skill sets? What if you do have a cybersecurity background, or you have a systems engineering background, or Juniper or Cisco networks, things like that. And there's a company in Dubai that's looking for that talent. Well, if your job is 100% remote and you're basically logging into routers, switches, servers, things like that, protecting networks, do you need to be on site to do that? I would argue that you probably don't. You could probably work remote. So just one of the things, for example, I know, like I said, I almost took an opportunity with a company named Emerging Market Communications out of Abu Dhabi. We had an office in Barcelona. I've done like satellite hub installs at Singtel in Singapore. You know, um, there's, Singtel, I think they pass more data through Singtel in, throughout Asia than any other, technology company or something along those lines. I remember we got the spill when we did the site tour there, but basically we installed a couple of satellite hubs, at Singtel headquarters on site, you know, and, just seeing, all the infrastructure there, but just imagine work for an organization based out of, Singapore or throughout Europe or UK or here in the United States, and you can pretty much live anywhere in the world you'd like. So just always keep in mind those global opportunities that may exist. Right. And, and like I said, that, and let's say if you are working remote, making, US dollars or making, dirhams or making, I can't remember what the Singapore dollar is, and you're working remote, and obviously maximum flexibility. I can live anywhere in the world where I've deemed, maybe I want to live in Rio, Brazil, because I enjoy the beach culture, um, or in Phuket, Thailand, I can make US dollars and live, pretty much in my favorite location that I like to vacation, and then still work for, a five-star company that pays, top wages. And and I believe this is probably available to anyone that's probably, there's entry level opportunities, there's mid career and upper career. Basically, as long as you get yourself a solid skill set that you can provide to an organization that's remote, you probably can take advantage of this opportunity. All right, high paying careers and countries. Now let's talk about some of the most lucrative careers and countries for English speakers. Some of the best opportunities can be found in places like Singapore, known for its robust finance and tech sectors. Expats in Singapore enjoy high salaries alongside great quality of life. United Arab Emirates, specifically Dubai, offer tax-free salaries in fields like engineering, IT, and finance. And that's one of the things that I've watched a few podcasts when they talked about, essentially you can live in Dubai and essentially be tax free. I think it's fairly inexpensive to start a small business out there, and essentially, for American citizens, I think you're still required to pay, U.S. taxes, no matter federal taxes, no matter where you go. I believe you can take advantage of the foreign earned income exclusion, which means if you spend 330 days outside of the United States, you don't have to pay taxes on $120,000 of your money, plus or minus that number. But let's say if you're from UK, I think there's like a program to where you can essentially remove your UK citizenship, move to Dubai, and essentially you pay zero income tax to the UK. And I think there's been an influx of a lot of high, IT and high level professionals that have been moving to Dubai to take advantage of that zero tax zone opportunity. So they live in Dubai. I think you just have to live in Dubai for 6 months out of the year, essentially, something along those lines. I'll look that up. And you can take advantage if you're from the UK, pay zero tax. If you're from the US, you still have to pay federal, but I believe there's 120K foreign income tax exclusion. Right. Germany, obviously is becoming one of the tech hubs in Europe, and English speaking professionals are highly sought after, especially in engineering and IT roles. These countries not only provide excellent compensation packages, but also present tremendous opportunities for professional growth. One of the things is executive training. At one point in time, we know with my LLC, Professional Career Transformations, I provide knowledge commerce courses in regards to how to build a six-figure career, how to become a CEO, start your own LLC, small LLC, and also do executive professional training. I've taught classes like conflict resolution and communication and strategic planning. Well, there was actually an organization that was based out of Malta that actually offered my LLC an opportunity to move to Malta and actually teach executive training in Malta and also do executive training in Dubai as well. So that was an amazing opportunity that I actually almost considered taking, but it's one of the things where I'm kind of comfortable where I am here in Florida. I think this is the best opportunity for me in the States because I do like my trifecta is, 4 months in the US, 4 months in Colombia, 4 months in Brazil. So, I said I had an opportunity to go to Malta and do executive training between Malta and Europe and Dubai. But I think that, for me personally, I think, keeping myself in the United States where, like I said, 69% of the world's GDP is here and I'm establishing this market, was the right call at the moment. But just for example, if you are a senior level professional, teaching leadership and conflict resolution and management and project management professional, all those kind of like high end professional kind of skill sets, that soft skill training, things like that. I think that's in high demand around the world. What people are starting to realize is, hey, we've covered you've got your CCNA, you've got your Microsoft, you've got your cloud practitioner certification. We've covered that, but now they need those soft skills so that those individuals can lead teams within an organization, and that's important as well. All right. All right, and then also, like I said, not only did I teach those classes, but I also developed the content for those classes as well. So maybe you become a content creator, right? Let's say a university or an organization says, "Hey, I need a slide pack on, like I said, communication and strategic planning." Well, I actually created a slide pack of about 25 or so slides and actually taught it to the PSTA, Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority. I created a 20 slide deck, and then I taught the class to them. But you can earn income by creating training slides for organizations. And just in general, as far as my career and specifically, I've benefited from from using globalization, in regards to my careers. When I was getting out of the military back in 2006, it was, there's so many five-star IT professionals here in the States, that it can be somewhat competitive. So I became a government contractor and got my first, satellite systems slash IT kind of local area network role, in Baghdad, installing satellite, systems, and rooftops in Baghdad, Ramadi, Fallujah, different things like that, building the local area network with the routers, switches, phones, computers, building like small little, servers and print areas, local area networks essentially. And from there, I became, like I said, a help desk technician, then the manager and things like that. But I started in Afghanistan and then started in Iraq and then went to Afghanistan and was the kind of like the country lead there, installing those same networks. And then from there, I think I ended up going to Kuwait, and working kind of like a true like systems admin role, for a period of time, a little bit more high end, satellite, iDirect kind of, engineering and networking from that position. Um, and then, just kind of, I went from Kuwait, then back to Afghanistan to do pretty much like a country manager role. And then, I think I was doing hub installs in, I think it was New Skies in Adelaide, Australia, just so essentially, by, being flexible to international, work, I was able to basically, not just promote within my own organization or locally where there was local positions that were available. I was able to consider the entire world as, okay, I'm a help desk. I want to be a help desk manager. Where in the world can I find a help desk manager job? Okay, I'll go to this country and pretty much transition along those lines. But just something, like I said, something to keep in mind as well. Using LinkedIn, I can't tell you how many boot camps. I've been to the PMP boot camp in Dubai. I've been to the PMP boot camp in Dubai, P program management, PGMP boot camp, and PF&P boot camp in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. So imagine I've got contacts in Dubai for PMP and CISSP. I went to CCNA in Sacramento, California. Like I said, PGMP, PF&P in Poconos. I think I did the Federal Acquisition Regulatory course, the contracting course up in DC area. So you see how every time you go to any one of these boot camps, there's 20 other professionals that are in your field that you're going to network with and meet. I went to iDirect training in Herndon, Virginia. So everywhere you go, you're building this network of professionals to where if you're ever in need of opportunity, you've got a network to reach out to. And obviously you can kind of manage that through your LinkedIn profile. So that's very, very important. All right. And, let's go ahead and let's discuss some success stories, let me share a few inspiring stories of successful professionals who, harness their international experience, people who work remotely, with maximum flexibility, the financial benefits and exploring, new countries and cultures. It's really exciting. I mean, imagine, right? You pick your favorite location in the world that you love to be on for vacation, and yet you can make top dollar in America and live in your favorite place in the world. I mean, I don't know what better combination there could be. You still can be progressing your career all while living in your favorite town. All right, let's talk about, one, I remember I was watching a podcast back in the day, and there was a company called Prada Law. And Prada Law was essentially a husband and wife law firm, and they actually were based out of Miami primarily, but they had offices in Medellin, Colombia as well. And they actually did, like, I think, prenuptial agreements. I think they did a little bit of immigration law, things like that. But just the fact that, hey, Prada Law helped expats, either, marry foreign nationals or get visas in Colombia. They basically created a legal hub in, Colombia, which is basically rap dab smack in the middle of Central America, Central slash South America. And, they were able to, basically, take advantage of both the South American market and the US market and people that were traversing between the two. So you can see how that's so beneficial to be able to, speak Spanish and have a headquarters office in Latin America and still, kind of cater to all the US expats that are going to go down there. They can find all their legal services essentially with Prada Law. There's a guy named Skylar DeRuin who has a YouTube channel where he basically, I think he's a 20-year Air Force veteran that actually retired from the military. He specializes in finance. That was his MOS has been and started the Air Force, and he retired to Rio, Brazil. So from Rio, Brazil, he actually teaches like finance, the market, crypto, just different investing strategies. And then he also has like a Brazilian like consultation service to where, hey, if you're going to come to Brazil, here's the best restaurants, here's the best, sightseeing and cultural experiences. Here's what, typical dining out and services cost in Brazil. So basically being that consultation bridge between, American citizens that want to travel to Rio, Brazil, and he has his own YouTube channel, right? So you got your YouTube channel that's monetized, that earns money based on like, views essentially. So I think if I'm correct, roughly for a travel channel, it's like 20,000 for every 8,000 views you get it, maybe you make about $50 as far as the monetization is concerned. And then you can do like super chats, right? So people can actually donate to you live while you live stream, and then they can ask questions and you can interact with your crowd and things along those lines. You can literally live stream, earn income from the monetization, from the super chats. He sells like a program where he teaches people all like this financial advice where he makes money from the program. I mean, do you see how like the pyramid kind of starts to stack up, right? You've got your base knowledge of like you've got your military retirement, you've got your base level of your finance, training that you can use to either work in. You can create courses to where you can teach people those things. You use YouTube to monetize, to get super chats, and you're kind of building. He's probably got like 8 or 9 different, sources of income essentially by just starting a YouTube channel, living abroad. So he gets to live in Brazil, his favorite country in the world, and he's catering to the U.S. market. So he's making U.S. dollars essentially. So that's just another success story. Medellin Buzz, a guy named Andrew who actually used to live in the United States. He's actually Colombian. He actually used to live in the States. He actually has a YouTube channel where he kind of does the same thing, where he hosts Americans that want to come down to Medellin, Colombia, and vacation, sightsee, go to museums, do tours. That want to actually buy real estate. He actually has a second channel where actually he features like Medellin real estate, where it's like, hey, this 3 bedroom, 2 bath apartment in Poblado is selling for 150, $200,000, and he actually features it. And he basically can help you with the process of purchasing homes overseas, with getting your retirement visa or your digital nomad visa, different things along those lines. So yeah, that's another success story. Andre and Andrea from Love Crossing Borders. They are a American citizen that's married to a Colombian citizen that lives in Cali, Colombia. He has a YouTube channel as well where he talks about, the benefits. I think he lived in the Tampa Bay area, and he talks about the benefits of, I think living in Cali, Colombia, where I think, him and his wife have like a 3 bedroom, 3 bath, high-rise apartment. They pay like 400 or 500 bucks a month, something along those lines. And they have a consultation service, and they bring people down to Cali, Colombia, and they take them on tours and sightseeing and help people, find relationships and just kind of just that kind of whole space, just so many different opportunities for, and that's just Latin America, right? There's also content creators in Asia, in Philippines, in Thailand that, that I think Richie Mack is in Thailand, another a person that's from Los Angeles that hosts people coming out to Thailand. I think there's a guy named Bo Rofek who's in Romania. I think in Philippines, there's a couple of, I think the Filipina P, she's a great content creator out of the Philippines that actually hosts consultations for people coming to the Philippines. And there's just so many more people in Germany and Europe, just some people that actually help host people as they come to different countries. So just think about all those opportunities when you think about things globally. Right. And remote work possibilities, I think we kind of discussed that a little bit. Speaking of remote work, this brings us to another major shift, thanks to globalization. Many US citizens are opting for full-time or part-time work remote that allows them to earn in US dollars while living abroad. Platforms like Upwork, Freelancer, um, and even direct company applications are paving the way for this shift. Imagine being able to live in a beautiful beach town like Colombia or Brazil, Thailand or Mexico, while working for a tech firm in California, so to speak. The possibilities are endless. Not only can save money and enhance your lifestyle, but this also helps build a global network that can be invaluable for future endeavors. It's important to showcase your abilities on platforms like LinkedIn to attract international opportunities. And I think the key for this is acquiring skills that allow you to use remote work. Let's if you're a professional writer, and you do content editing, videography, like I said, any kind of IT work. I think I remember I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he worked for a DoD company out of not Asalea, and like out of one of the military bases in Doha, Qatar. And I think Al Udeid, and I think he does IT work for one of the bases in Doha, Qatar. And then I think, at night when he's off, he actually works for a private firm back in the United States. So literally he's living in Doha, Qatar, working a full-time job as a DoD contractor. And then in the afternoon, when he's off of work, it's daytime in California. I think he works for another either part-time for a firm, in California. So essentially, he's making two US salaries while he's living out there. And I think his housing is free, his food is free, things like that. So you see how you can kind of put a combination of some of those resources together. But I think the big thing is just acquiring the right skills that are marketable for remote work. And I think you can take advantage of that. And I think, most universities are offering, A plus, Net plus, Security plus, in your earlier years, in the university or go into those boot camps, those CCNA boot camps, those Microsoft boot camps, those cloud, those Amazon boot camps, things like that. Something you can learn a skill within a year or two, and you can use that skill remotely. All right, building a global network and skill set. To successfully navigate this global job market, you need to build a robust network and continuously develop your skill sets. Here are a few tips. Join online communities, engage in forums or groups related to your profession on LinkedIn, Facebook, or niche platforms. One of the things, when I was mentoring students at St. Pete College, I would tell them, hey, if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, go online and find cybersecurity, either podcasts or working groups that maybe meet once every month and have like a kind of like a meet and greet and have, do like a little brunch or have a couple cocktails, things along those lines. I think like even on YouTube, I think when I went, we had like a tech day for the College for Computer Information Technology. And I think it was like Dem Tech Boys or something like that. They have like a podcast on LinkedIn where they talk all things cybersecurity. And it's like, a couple of folks that like I think I'm not sure if they work in the St. Pete area or they're out of Atlanta, but I know they do a lot of work on the East Coast in regards to like giving like, hey, this is what the latest and the greatest is in information assurance, and this is how you get into the field. This is what search you use, things like that. But they allow you to ask those questions. Join those communities. Attend webinars or conferences. Anytime you can return. For me, there's this satellite conference in DC. If I, every satellite provider, whether it be Intelsat, Eutelsat, all the latest technologies on display at these conferences, and you can go meet and greet, learn about new technologies, build your network up. So that way, if you're ever looking for opportunities to either, engage, professionally, to network, to bring business to your current organization, or if you're in need of an opportunity, you have contact from different organizations. All right. Learn new skill sets, platforms like, Udemy or LinkedIn Learning, things like that, where you can take courses, if I'm correct, I mean, LinkedIn Learning is fairly inexpensive, for like a membership, monthly membership. I mean, there's just so much great training, and also on YouTube. I mean, I think you can go on YouTube right now and type in PMP Bootcamp, and they've got a whole PMP Bootcamp suite for free online, for free on YouTube, things like that. So there's just so many different resources you can tap into to find that great training. All right. By actively engaging with both local and international networks, you create opportunities for collaboration, mentorship to propel your career. And it's all about who you know. I mean, let's just be honest, right? If otherwise you're just a random resume that's kind of like floating around online, right? You want to, build communities and networks where people can kind of help each other essentially. All right. And basically, my number one that I really like, I'm a proponent of the boot camp, training camp, even your university systems. I mean, you just can't beat, going to a PMP boot camp. And, like I said, I've talked about in the last episode, or, let's talk about this other one. Let's talk about PGMP. I went to the Poconos, and went to PMO advisory. And I was interacting with people that were getting their program management professional certification. That's, from PMI, that worked for like the rail system out of like the Pennsylvania area. And then another, like, I think it was like a AT&T executive that was getting PGMP or something along those lines. Just those networking events, not only you learning that specific, practical knowledge with that like PMI certification, but you're also networking with other people and seeing how they run programs and portfolios, at their respective organizations, whether it be a legal office or an IT company or, the city rail system or transit authority, things like that. So I think those are such great opportunities. Like I said, I did PMP boot camp in Dubai and CISSP boot camp in Dubai. I also did my certified wireless professional certification in Barcelona. I've also done like I think I did wireless in Barcelona. I think I did another satellite communications class in Leeds. I think it was an iDirect class, maybe in Leeds, UK. I think, I mean, just all over the world, been all over the world doing all kinds of training. So, like I said, CCNA in Sacramento, California. But yeah, I mean, and just additional resources for job seekers. Obviously everybody knows, LinkedIn.com, USA Jobs, Monster, Indeed, just anywhere you can build profiles to start like doing your search for what opportunities are where. It's always a great thing. But I would just, in closing, I'd say, definitely, keep your options open. Don't just think locally or regionally. Think about what globally it has to offer. Even if you, let's say I do want to stay in the Tampa Bay area, maybe there's a company in California I can work from Tampa and earn that higher income. Maybe there's a company that's like, say, in UK or UAE or in Asia and Singapore, things along those lines. So just I think it's just a great conversation and a great opportunity that we've never had before, right? I mean, I think the infrastructure around the world is good enough to where people are, moving towards remote work. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's going to continue to grow in the future. So yeah, that's the end of this episode. I wish everybody the best. I think this is a golden opportunity to grow and to, expand your horizons in regards to where you want to earn income, where you want to live, your travels along those lines. So yeah, best of luck, everybody, and I'll see you in the next episode.